when I introduce myself to people and I say I'm psychologist, they immediately have a picture in their mind that, that maybe is very distant for what I'm really do. And especially when I'm entering to more specific topics, for instance, mediumship or energy healer. And those are tags that people might have a different perspective of what is a medium or what is an energy healer or what is a light worker. But when we provide a little bit more of the descriptive part, for instance, what you were telling me, well, I work with people who experience trauma not only in this level, but also in this level, then it's giving more a different picture.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that's what the...
Yeah. That's really helpful. I appreciate you explaining where you've come from and more where you are. And I do think that the language of everybody kind of getting on the same page with the languaging would be helpful. Definitely. It's like one reason why I don't call myself a healer anymore. I call myself an energy practitioner, because people then assume that they're going to come in and I'm going to heal them. When, my orientation is I'm not the one doing the healing. It's something moving through me, and that the person in the room with me or on the table is just as active as a participant in that as I am, and as this energy is, this greater energy. So it keeps the dynamic equal. It keeps things equal. And then the expectation is different. So I appreciate the languaging and, kind of coming to some, maybe common terms would be helpful within the within the healing sphere.
There is this responsibility, and for many, many years, as at least where I grew up, this responsibility was going to the doctor, to the household, to the general practitioner, and then he is going to give you the magic pills, and then I'm just going to take this medicine, and then that's it. But now it's like, okay, there are more things coming up, and then we need to start embracing that responsibility. So I love what you are saying, because indeed it's, and thank you. I'm going to replant the word. I think for now I've been using the word healer as umbrella term, but definitely I'm referring to somebody who is supporting a process.
Because, like you said, some people even going into psychology and traditionally are still innately either talented at that or not. Mm-hmm. And, some people just get it, and they make really good therapists because, they're very attuned. They can attune to people very easily.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of deep healing that happens with that, and necessary healing. And that cognitive level is also an important part. The relationship is important and crucial, depending on what wounding and what trauma you come out of. If you have attachment issues, if you have early neglect, you're going to have that relationship piece to help you then mirror things back to yourself. But it only went so far. And then I realized I had to start looking for other things. So my belief is, you can use any modality. You can use any way in. If you're a healer and you're connected to kind of that pure consciousness, that clean, however you define that, awareness, presence, consciousness, and you are connected up to that energy to move through you. It doesn't matter what you use. You're gonna help someone and help clear. But saying that, there are more effective ways to do it, and ways that are more helpful and more integrative. I have found. So, I think you need the energy piece to get to the in Chinese medicine, it's taught that we have the physical body, then we have the emotional mental body about 6 inches off, and then we have the spiritual body, which is about 6 feet off. And that's how I work in those bodies. I
Uh-huh.
also feel like we hold trauma in the nervous system and in the cells. So there's a way to work that. And of course, you have to calm the body down. You have to get it out of that sympathetic, you have to calm that down to the parasympathetic so that it can naturally heal and balance. And then, shamanically speaking, if a healer or shaman goes in and clears your wound, clears an imprint. So let's say a trauma comes down, bam, there's your imprint.
Mm-hmm.
Sticks some, it freezes up. It changes the energy pattern, let's say that. So it creates a block, wherever that is, whether it's in the tissue or the field, or if a shaman comes in or a healer and just clears it without any integration, and that person has been in a pattern around that or had a core belief formed around that, and that isn't worked on a cognitive level, that's where psychotherapy comes in. You're going to be amazing. Then a person will go right back out and be still in that pattern. The pattern will gradually come back through and create the imprint again.
Yeah.
So to me, a thorough healing is not either or, it's both and.
Both.
It's all of it. So some people are ready for it. That's why, I saw a woman last month, 20 years of anxiety. She's in her 60s. She was up to 104 pills a day at one point. 104. That's
Wow.
how high her anxiety was. In one energy session, it was cleared. One session. And
That's
sometimes
amazing.
and sometimes it just happens like that because she had done enough work. She did
Yeah.
enough work on herself, but sometimes it doesn't clear like that because they still need to really change themselves more. They're in more of a process. So when I look for a trauma, I look to bring the trauma back in. With shamanism, it's soul retrieval. We do
Okay.
something like that in Chinese medicine too. You're retrieving that part that has been lost. So we bring that back in, and sometimes you can feel people then start to emote and feel it through the emotions, or they get kriyas and they're shaking it because the energy's starting to move, it's starting to release. And so then we talk about that because you're integrating that trauma back in. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it just needs to be witnessed.
Okay.
So maybe that's all it needs. But sometimes it needs to really be worked with. The book talks about this. There's a way you can do this with parts work. So if I'm working with a 4-year-old, you can work with any part, but reclaiming a 4-year-old, then it's like, and then what does this 4-year-old need? If it doesn't quite release, then it needs more. It needs to be reparented. It needs more time with you. It needs, for a core belief that was formed in that trauma to be addressed. So that part will understand that what it came to believe or understand was misguided, and that the truth was this. You're talking directly to the part.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're addressing, it's not like you as the adult saying, well, when I was 4, this happened to me. Because when we talk as the adult like that, we tell that story over and over and over again, but it doesn't ever heal it because the adult is telling the story. You're remembering something and telling the story. But when we have the 4-year-old tell the story and
Yeah.
say, then it's seen and it's witnessed and it's brought in, and then it can release because it's healed. You're bringing a past event into current time, because trauma only becomes trauma, right? If it's not worked through. Let's say a 4-year-old is here and a traumatic event happens to the 4-year-old, and an adult steps in and takes care of the 4-year-old, and right, then there's no
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing. You have the capacity to do that. It's highly effective.
Yeah. I can see that why that the impact. And also it's making me wonder also the ability for the person who is guiding the session to be aware of reminding the client where he or she needs to be standing from, like
Yes.
not allowing the adult to to come and repeat the same story from a very
Yeah.
memory related, but more for the feeling or more for the steps. So, how open are your clients to do this work or this? How is uh, letting them know this, that maybe this story is not themselves for years when they were 4 years. Maybe that was a past life when they were. So how difficult is to address this kind of topic?
Even with my really conservative clients, they get it. There's something inside that they're like, yeah, I do
Okay.
have a 3-year-old. Like, I get that that's something unresolved and not okay. And even if they don't know what it is, it's something on that resonates with them. They just don't know how to do it. They don't know a way in. But when you do energy work, it opens it up more. It's more expansive because you're connecting to that part. Your consciousness is connecting to that part, and that part of them knows it,
Oh.
right? That
Yeah.
part of them. So if they feel safe with you, and you're like saying, zero balancing. I love that modality. It works in the bones. You find things in the bones, but what you're actually doing in really all modalities should be teaching this, because the idea is, and it's true, where your intention goes, where your awareness or attention goes, it will direct chi. It will direct energy. So
Yeah.
whatever modality you're using, the more you can keep your awareness and intention on what you're doing, wherever the wound is, it's going to move that chi. It's going to move that energy. You're going to be a powerful healer. The more you can, and the more you practice it, the more your awareness is direct and expansive. But your client will feel it. Their unconscious will feel, and then they'll just drop. Then they'll just open into that safety, and their body will relax down. So I'm not sure if I even answered the question.
Yes, and I think that is beautiful because I think that it's it's coming again to the topic of saying, well, we're involving the client. So it's not
Yeah.
that I'm doing or the healer is just doing some key manipulation and that's it. It's also by doing this helping the consultant to feel and to see, okay, this is not a static part of me just talking and that's it. There is something else that is recalling or this. I want to use the word echoing, like, and
Yes.
I think that's important, like the interaction
Yes.
that is going in a different level. Yeah, yeah. And in your perspective, what is the, let's say, in the future, in the coming years, what should be energy workers working on as a community? What will be the approach or the guidelines?
Yeah, I mean, here in the United States, they're talking about certain states are talking about energy workers having more protocol, and there being more regulation on it. I don't know if that's the answer, but I think just awareness with what you're doing, and community and forums, and psychiatrists. And it's that same thing that runs, I think, with a lot of practitioners, is they are trying to heal something within themselves that is unresolved, and so they're not integrated, and that becomes a mess. So I think foremost, healers and whatever healing modality you're using, even psychology, you have to do your own work. You have to do your own work, so that you're a clean and clear vessel. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, that's hard to find. I'm just going to say that's hard to find. And just truthfully, I think every healer should have a healer. Everybody that is, if you're giving something out, then ideally you're also receiving,
Hmm.
because it just I think it's just the way we as social creatures are, and we also need we can't do all of our own healing on ourselves. I think it's hard to remain the observer or the witness of ourselves, but I have ways of self-care, and I try to stay on top of that.
That's my next question. Because how do you take care of yourself?
Um, I think the main thing that I do is like meditation or a way to step out of the thoughts. That's important to me. At this point, I've done so much healing. I'm not going to say there's nothing to heal, but it's pretty. It's something comes up, I can pull it into the heart and love on it. But more than that, I've been doing intensive healing work on myself for 20 years, or have had someone or an outside doing that work. So now it's more it's my mind that will take me to suffering. It's not something that deeper that's coming up.
And now you can see that difference, because
Yeah.
I think that's also the first step, like being aware of where this is coming from.
Yeah. I just don't have anything really coming up.
Okay.
Nothing really, I kind of get discouraged or sad about the state of the world or something like that, but then I don't have any deep depressions or anxieties or things that come up like that. So I think self-care for me is more like staying out of my mind, out of the ego, and then doing things that I really love to do. A glass of nice wine at the end of the night, creative during the day when I have time for that, and being of service. That's self-care. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a nice morning.
Yeah.
They say, and we'll keep in touch.
Wonderful, Pedro. Good. So good to connect.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye for now.